I dream of crafting. I realized recently that I have never done a 4th of July themed video, so that's what I'm going to do today. This is a tutorial, and you can crank these out in like 5 or 10 minutes, so this is just in time for 4th of July, and you can make as many as you want. So what I'm going to show you today are these duct tape wind socks that you could, hang around the house or hang outside. I have mine in the house hanging from my mom's hanging plants. They've been there for a year. We just never took them down. And I was looking around and I saw them and I'm like, duh, I can do that for a video. So this is a new one I just made today because I was not about to take down the ones I had hanging up. So as you can see, it's, whoa, as I drop it. As you can see, it's fairly simple. And like I said, 5 or 10 minutes you can crank out a ton of these. So I will be showing you this. So the supplies you will need for these wind socks, some scissors, of course a cutting mat, an X-Acto blade, a pen or a marker, anything will do really, even maybe just an etching tool, but a pen works just fine. You're actually going to need a toilet paper roll. You can actually, if you wanted your windsock bigger, I just made this one because this is what I had on hand and I didn't want a big one. You can use a paper towel roll that's longer and make a longer windsock. You can also cut up and roll up poster board to make it, real big if you wanted that. I think these are a pretty good size though. So just a toilet paper roll. Make sure all the toilet paper is off of it. You want a clean roll. You are going to need a ruler and duct tape. I'm going to be using these two today, well 3. So these are tapes that I got from my local dollar store. But you can use any tape you want. I'm using these for, of course, 4th of July. But if you wanted to make these wind socks for anything, a birthday party or anything really, you can use whatever tape you want. And I'm going to use some black tape to save on this. So those are all the supplies you will need. So let's get started. Alright, so here we go. I got my toilet paper roll here. And my tape. I'm going to make a duplicate of the one I've already made. So, alright, so since I don't know how big your toilet paper roll is, I think they all come in standard size, but who knows. So you want to just measure to make sure. Mine's 4 inches, so I want about a ½ inch of overlap on each side, which of course is 1 inch of overlap. Let me move this over. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to make my strips 5 inches. I would say start with 3 strips of tape, but I've always found that I need a 4th one because there's always like an 1/8 of an inch that is not covered, and it annoys me to no end. So I'm just gonna cut out 4 to save myself some time here. But if you wanted to start with 3 and see if you can do it in 3. By all means, go for it. But I always have to. There's always a gap that I miss. So the hardest part of this, the hardest part of this whole project is the wrapping of the tube. That's the hardest thing. Once you get that down, the rest of it's pretty simple. So I'm going to use my scissors here to hold my tube steady, especially once I get this first piece on. So the most important thing here when you're laying it down, A, you want to make sure you have that ½ inch on either side, but B, you want to kind of lay down one side and then smooth it out. If you see on this, I didn't smooth it out as well as I should have, so I ended up with this crease. The rest are good, but this one is not. So you want to make sure, because once you put this on here, you're not going to be able to get it off without ripping the tube, and then you waste this piece of tape. So once you get it down, don't move it, but you really want to try and smooth it down before you commit yourself. So I always start with one side like that, and then I stretch it around and smooth it out. The first one isn't too bad. The first one almost always goes on nicely. It's the ones coming up that are a problem, and you'll see why. So I find the easiest way to fold these in is to do it now. Because if you try and put more on here, I always mess it up. So what I do is I'm taking my scissors, there we go, and I'm just going to make little notches. And once the notches are there we go, I have notches here. I'm going to just take the notches and fold them over and inside the tube. This is going to hold the tape onto it, of course, but it's also going to seal this edge, and there won't be any sticky left over. We're going to do the same thing on this side and just pull it tight and secure it inside. You don't have to worry about what it looks like inside. No one's going to see that. Just make sure this is all nice. And yeah, don't worry about the top. Don't worry if it's lined up on the inside. No one's going to see that. I so happened to line it up on the inside. I wasn't even trying, but this side, not so much. Like I said, don't worry about it. So, if I put this like this, of course it's going to roll because this is now the heavy side because there's tape on it. So what I do, this is where my scissors come in handy. So it's going to roll this way because most of the tape is on this side, so I just line it up and rest it against my scissors so that it doesn't roll away when I'm trying to put the second piece of tape on here. So, alright, so this is where if you wanted to line up anything, you would probably want to cut your strips one at a time. And then try and line it up. I'm going to line it up, but I'm not going to really, be too precise with it. If it doesn't line up, it doesn't line up, I'm not going to worry too much about it. But this one is actually going to line up nicely. Oh, or not. That's alright. Okay. And then we're gonna... Alright. Now you see I have a whole bunch on this side and not so much on this side. That's because I wanted to line up the red and white. So I'm not gonna worry too much about it. As long as you have some... I like to have at least ½ an inch, but as long as you have something to fold over the edge, it'll be okay. So even that ½ an inch will be just fine. Okay. And of course we have like an inch over here. Alright. So it's still gonna roll, obviously. But we have a few more pieces to go here. And you know what? I cut 4 pieces, but I think I actually will get away with 3 this time. So this is going to want to roll like this. So you're going to have to readjust it to make it all fit. Or make it all fit. Make sure that it doesn't roll, I mean. So I'm just trying to figure out how it's going to sit for me so I can put this on. There we go. We'll do it that way. Now this is where I usually end up with a little bit, like a1/8 of an inch left over. I'm going to see if I can actually do this with this piece. You don't want to overlap too much. You don't want, seams, like really thick seams, but you want to overlap a little bit so you get a good seam, or seal I should say. Okay, moment of truth here. Ha ha ha, look at that, I did it with 3. How funny is that? Alright, so 3 to 4 pieces depending on how you lay them. The first one I did that I showed you in the opening, I probably put two pieces too close together, overlapped them too much. So if you don't overlap them too much, you can get away with 3, like I just did. I find that kind of funny. Okay. Alright. So that is honestly the hardest part of this whole project. Once you get that down, you're good to go. So I'm going to leave this up here. I'm going to use this. It won't go to waste, so I'm going to use that for a couple things coming up here. Alright, so I'm going to put the tube up here for a moment, and I'm going to grab my second pattern here. Little fireworks. I love this tape. It's so cute. So, what we're going to make next is the little hanger here. Now this hanger is a bit small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to make that hanger that I just showed you was 5 inches. I'm going to go like, let's go 7 and see how that goes, because that's a little short. Alright, so there's 7. This duct tape, or this is a Dollar Tree duct tape. I do like it. I like the pattern. It's a little hard to work with though, because it's really sticky. It reminds me of Just for Laughs tapes, if any of you guys have used that tape. I have a couple of their tapes too, but it's real sticky and it's real thick, but it's nice. It works, especially for $1. You can't beat that. Alright, so I'm just going to take this and fold it towards the middle and then smooth it out. Don't worry about your edges, we can trim them off. Just make sure, try not to get any crinkles or air bubbles. If you get air bubbles, you can always pop them. Crinkles, not so much. So just, go slow, take your time. Alright. And there we go. We're going to take our scissors now. We're going to just cut the very, very ends off, just to even them up and get rid of any sticky. Oh, move my trash can a little closer. Alright. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. As you can see here, I have this near the back, so it's kind of like this kind of hook. If you don't like that, you of course can attach either side to either side of itself and make a hook like that. It's all up to you. If you want to do it this way, you need 2 pieces of tape, one on this side, one on this side. You put it in and secure it. To make this kind of a hook though, you're going to do seam side up. Okay, seam side up facing you, and all you're going to do, I can't, okay, here we go. All you're going to do is fold it in half and put it down. So hold it like this. The easiest way to do this, sometimes I just do that, but if you can do that, just put corner to corner and it'll form a loop. If this is confusing though, fold it in half, put it down like this, and then just open it up so that the seams are facing you. And there you go. Once again, fold it in half, put it down so the loop is there, and then just fold the 2 edges down. Alright, I hope I made that clear. If not, like I said, you can always make the other loop. That's way easier. So I'm going to take, let's see, 1 and 2. I'm going to take about 2 inches of tape here. You can use any tape you want for the inside. No one's really going to see it. I have this tape, so I'm just going to use it here. That's why I also have the black tape. I usually use the black tape for securing things inside the tube, just so I don't waste my pattern tape, but you can use whatever you have on hand. Okay, so I'm just making sure these are even, and then I'm going to go up about 1 inch. This is actually a bit too small, so make yours about 2.5 to 3 inches. You want to make sure you have some on either side of the hook here. There we go, that's better. Alright, so I'm going to go up about an inch, maybe half an inch. There we go. 3/4. We'll split the difference. Of course, the more you leave, you know, out, the bigger your hook will be. So just find the place, you know, you want to be your front. I kind of like that. Okay. So, easiest way I found to do it, just fold them together so that they kind of smushes the tape together a little bit. And then put it inside. Let's see. Okay. Come on, get in there. And then just press it into it, just like that, and make sure it's really secure. And there we go. Yeah, I like that hook a lot better. So yeah, about 7 inches. You of course can make it however big you want. I think 7 inches is probably a good length though. 5 is a little small. So, alright, now we're going to make the little windsock things. So, I'm going to use this tape again. So the windsocks are actually 7 inches as well. Once again, you can make them as big or small as you want. I just think 7 inches is kind of pretty. You know, it's ideal, I guess. So I'm going to cut 4. You of course can use however many you want. I guess it's traditional to have 4, especially for something this small. But if you want to go with 3, that's fine. If you want to go with 5, that's fine. You know, play with it. Find however, you know, whatever you like. So I'm going to cut 2 strips at 14 inches. Strips. And then I'm going to cut them at 7 inches, so I have 4 strips that are 7 inches long. Okay. I'll be done with that. Alright, so just as before, just like making the hook we just did, we're going to flip this over and we're going to fold it towards the middle. Smooth it out, flip it over, and fold towards the middle. Alright, just like that. Alright, we're going to make 3 more of those. Alright, now that we have these, we're going to, just as before, snip off the very ends to get rid of any sticky. Alright. Now, we're going to, this would be kind of boring, you know, to have just flat bottoms, you know. If you want to make them, that's fine. To add a little bit of pizzazz, though, we're going to make this little V-cut. Makes it look a little pretty. So, what I do, the easiest way I found to do this, is I'm actually going to hold this piece down. And I'm going to line it up with an inch line. Okay. Now here's where your pen comes in, or whatever you want to use at this point. We're going to find the middle. So I use the seam line, and I just go from the seam line, and I draw a line, or etch a line, whatever you want to do. I etch a line from there to this corner, and from this middle point to this corner. Oh, there we go. So it's going to be an inch. This V-cut's going to be an inch long, and it goes, I hope you can see the pen line, it goes from there down here and there to down there. So it's a little V-cut, little triangle. Now you can either do that process with all three of them, or what you can do is you can take your scissors and cut this one out. Just follow your line. There you go. Now that you have one done, what I like to do is I just like to line up the bottoms here. So these little pointy ends I line up with this bottom part. And then I actually tape them together so they don't move. And then I take my X-Acto knife, and I hold this down, and I carefully just cut. And I made another one. That is how I think it's easiest. But experiment, see what's easiest for you, and then go with it. And if they're not perfect, you know, don't worry about it. Like this one's a little wonky. You could always go back in. And trim it. They all don't have to be perfect. If you didn't want to use duct tape for this part, you could always just get like ribbon and make V-cuts out of the ribbon. You know, use whatever you have on hand. Alright, so we have our 4 little windsock things here. So now all we have to do is secure them inside the tube. So this is where I'm going to switch over to my black tape so I don't waste any more of my pattern here, because no one's going to see this inside. So I'm going to use this piece up here. I only cut 2 inches of this though. That's all you really need. So I need, if you don't have an extra piece of tape lying around like this, you would cut 8, but I'm only going to cut 6 inches. Okay. So now I got 4 pieces of tape that are 2 inches long. I'm going to bring my tube back over here. Alright, I'll show you with this one since it's nice and colorful and you'll be able to see. So, make sure the seam is facing up. That is rule number 1. And I put my tape about 1 inch down. No more than that. 1 inch is probably overkill, but I like to have that security. Easiest way I found to do this is to roll it up so it's a little tube. You don't have to secure it, but it happens. So I like to line it up first with my hook. So I'm just gonna put this in here, and then I'm gonna put my finger in this side and hold this. Hold the tape down, as you can see. And then I'm going to use my fingers to just smooth down the tape on the inside. If it's bunched up, mine's a little bunched up, don't worry about it, no one's going to see it. This, just make sure it's all secure so it won't come apart, or it won't come off, I should say. And there's your first one. So we're going to do that 3 more times. Each time you want to make sure the seam is facing you. If the seam is facing you, then when you put it in, the seam will be, you know, facing inside and not outside. So I'm just going to roll this again, and I like to go just right across from the one I just did. Just hold it. Okay. Now the reason that didn't work is because my tape is crooked. So you really do want to make sure that you know, get it square. And then we're gonna go right across from where that one is, hold it with our other hand, and then smooth it down on the inside. And there we go. Alright, just do that 2 more times. Now that they're all in, you just want to make sure that they're all secure. Now you can see some of my little things are pointed inwards, so you just want to take your thumb and quickly, let's do that again. Take your thumb and your index finger and push against your index finger between the tape. The tape is in between my index finger and my thumb. You just want to go down and out at the same time so that you're flaring it out so that it's not, see how these are in? If you do that a couple times, they'll flare out like that, and that way they won't be, you know, stuck. So they'll be nice and out like that. Alright, that's the end of the tutorial. Here's what we made. I do like this one a lot better than this one, but they are still very cool. I'm going to redo the hook on this one, but yeah. As you can see, they flare out a little bit when you, you know, the last step. As you can see, this one's a little in, so like I said, just take your index finger and your thumb and go like that. If anyone's ever done this with ribbon and scissors, you take the scissors and you put the ribbon in between the scissors, and you, yeah, it's the same technique, you're just using your fingers. And there you go. Pretty cool, huh? I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I hope to see you in the next video.